concepts of heat and cold, life and death, energy and time, light and dark.
Sounds like a mythological Big Bang.
Not really. Actually, not at all. How do I start one of these? Hey there. I am Delvane, or DB, I guess, and I am a huge FromSoft fan. I've been playing the SoulsBorne games for, like almost 15 years now, and starting with Dark Souls. I also played a ton of Skyrim, but Dark Souls is kind of, the SoulsBorne games is kind of much more my shtick. I've never done React video before. I can't imagine I'll do a ton of those. I'm mostly just making this video to see if my editing software can work without my PC crashing, which has been a consistent problem. So if you're seeing this, yay! At the point of recording this, Death Battle, which is a channel I haven't looked at in years, released a video of the Chosen Undead versus the Dragonborn. And yeah, so I knew I wanted to check it out, and I figured this would be a good way to test my PC, see if I can actually get this out without it imploding. I am very familiar with the Chosen Undead. I would say I'm not as familiar with the Dragonborn. I am interested to see how they decide to like analyze this. Like, will they analyze the gameplay? Will they analyze like the max potential? Will they give them their entire arsenal, or will they decide on the lore? Like, I think it'd be interesting to see how they do that. I do think that no matter how they decide to analyze it, I think the Dragonborn has got this. Despite the fact that I would love, like, I'm much more of a Dark Souls fan than I am a Skyrim fan. I think the Dragonborn has got this. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see a way that the Chosen Undead would have anything against like the voice, and also just the fact that their two games are such different experiences. Like, if you really think about it, the whole point of all the SoulsBorne games, except for Sekiro, some people lump that in with the other games, but I don't think that's accurate, especially now in what I'm about to describe. Like, the whole point of like the SoulsBorne games is that like you're this teeny tiny being fighting against these greater than life godlike beings in order to accomplish something that's greater than yourself. That's kind of the whole point of those games. It's why they're so, like, it's part of the theme as to why they're so difficult. Like, that's why I love those games so much. Like, all the meanings and like themes kind of intertwine with the gameplay. And but I also think that's kind of why the Dragonborn, it's going to lose the Dragonborn, because the point of Skyrim is that you're a demigod expected to do the insane, and you end up doing the absurd instead. Like, you're literally you're meant to be overpowered. It's part of the story. You're OP. Like, that's kind of the point of, that's what part of the joy of Skyrim is, that you're something ridiculous. You have the power of dragons, goddammit. And so I think that alone is going to really make it pick to the Dragonborn's favor. But maybe I'm wrong, you know? Yeah. But yeah, let's just, I'm talked enough. Let's just start. If it will.
Because these two lack specific canon arsenals and movesets due to being role-playing protagonists, for this death battle, we're giving them everything they have and maxing out all of their stats.
Okay, so they are gonna give them everything. I still think that it's in Dragonborn's ballpark, because like the scale, just because Dark Souls was such like a streamlined, Dark Souls 1 especially was such a streamlined like experience. Like, you think of Elden Ring nowadays, and it was so big, and you know, it's a free roam game, but like Dark Souls was nothing like that. It was very like streamlined on like a train track that you ran to different bosses and the fights and stuff like that. And because of that, like the loot pool, it's kind of limited. Like, there wasn't a whole lot to choose from in Dark Souls 1, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I played it. But Skyrim had a ton of crazy crap in it that you can pick up, you know, and but like I said, by nature, the Chosen Undead is meant to be limited. It's part of the experience of Dark Souls.
ghosts.
Oh
The
my God,
heroes
it's
are
been so
dead
long
or
since I've seen
mad.
any of this.
In the Golden Age, rotting away in an asylum, all it took was an assist from an unlucky knight and a giant raven before one unlikely hero was ready to claw their way through their progenitor's forgotten homeland.
Yeah, and that giant raven, we assume was probably like an avatar or straight up a goddess named Velka as well. Like there was like legit, there's a potential that there was like legit divine intervention to get the Chosen of Dead on his way, on their way rather, sorry, on their way, on their path to do their thing. But that is kind of, the Dark Souls lore is really nebulous. It's kind of meant to be. It's very vague. It's very mysterious. It's only like 30% of the lore is like straight up said, and it's kind of up to us as the fan base to like kind of come up with the other 70%, which is why channels like VatiVidya can exist, who like the whole purpose is to analyze the lore, because it's not done for you, which I think is unique and fun. I think it's really cool. But not everybody is okay with there being a mystery. Everyone wants the answers, which I totally understand.
Dead will always resurrect at the nearest bonfire.
Whoa, what? Hold on. Was there a Dark Souls comic book that I missed? I need to find that.
Eaten and digested by what I can only describe as a toilet demon.
Oh my God, those fucking
They can have
things.
souls torn from their very body, because undead
The Four
humans
Kings.
don't need their souls to survive.
Just pop some of that spicy Sunny D and they're good to go. If anything, it seems like they get off to it.
Oh my God, the death noise from Dark Souls 1. Oh, that shit was so funny.
Their power, giantest of dads. And despite the serious gothic themes of the series, these weapons can get anime as hell.
Or
Smoke's
goofy.
hammer is a ginormous mallet the size of a sedan.
Based on its size and likely bronze composition, it'd have to weigh over 100 tons. A lot like Goff's great bow, which can shoot killer-sized arrows and one-shot dragons out of the sky.
Or my favorite.
Problem is, both of those weapons shrink when you use them. Like, I'm assuming they're kind of calculating that stuff, like based on how they look in these cuts, in the cutscene for the bow and on the boss for the boss fight with Smo. When you equip them as a player, both those things shrink to your size. Otherwise, it would look almost too ridiculous. Because, like, I mean, fucking, the bow is like 3 times your height in the cutscene when Goff is using it. So yeah, I don't know if that counts, but even if they do include like the original size and weight and power of those weapons when they're being used by the bosses, I still think the Dragonborn has got it. But hey, we'll see.
The Moonlight Greatsword.
Yes!
Ass of the albino dragon and founder of sorcery, Seath the Scaleless. This
Oh my
baby's a
God.
universe-hopping anomaly that can
That's from
fire
Elden
powerful
Ring.
sword beams and just,
I don't care.
just looks
So cool. Oh, Bloodborne.
Undead has learned
I love that
magic
weapon
from
so
the
much.
greatest practitioners in the world. They can create shockwaves,
Big Hat Logan.
barriers, reflect damage, throw balls of flame, control minds, fire magical crystal spears, turn invisible, and toss bolts of sunlight strong enough to peel the stone scales off of mortal dragons.
So
Wow.
that pool of
That's a
magic
lot.
is pretty limited. So if it comes
That's a lot. I never played Caster in Dark Souls, in any of the 3 Dark Souls games. I played Faith, actually. Kind of. I put a little bit into Faith in one of my first playthroughs of Dark Souls 1. But beyond that, Dark Souls 2, 3, I went pure strength builds every time I played them. And so yeah, the magic. Okay, so if the deciding factor for the Chosen Undead is its magic, then that's something that would be beyond, like, that'd be something I wouldn't expect, because I don't know the full potential of it. So I could be wrong there. I could be wrong.
down to it, they can shut off all magic in the vicinity with the miracle Vow of Silence.
Preventing anyone from speaking any spells aloud, including themselves,
Oh.
with this incredible arsenal and
I think they're specifically pointing that spell out so that it could be something that counters the voice, like the words of power that the Dragonborn could say. But the thing is that even without the voice, which is like the most iconic thing about the Dragonborn, obviously, I still think physically he's just a lot more of a powerhouse. He could just do a lot more, just by nature of like the different kinds of RPG that the 2 games are. I think the Dragonborn has access to like a lot more shit, even without magic or the voice. I think he's still got it.
Dragon,
That was when the chosen undead was dragged back in time to face the fallen knight Artorias.
So I have to admit something. I've actually never played the DLC of any of the Dark Souls games. That might be something I have to go back and do on the channel. I have yet to fight Artorias, which is insane because I fucking love Artorias. Yeah, none of the Dark Souls games have I played the DLC. 1, 2, or 3, or Bloodborne. Yeah, Elden Ring might be the first FromSoft game where I play the DLC. Hey, maybe I'll play these before that comes out. I also kind of want to do an Elden Ring playthrough as well, but yeah. So this part is a little bit outside of my known knowledge. So
Praise the sun, bro.
yeah,
They were approaching
praise the fucking sun.
freaks. One said to link the fire, and the other said to let it die.
Kath and
Makes sense. Wiz can explain it.
Seath?
Me, Dark Souls lore is as notoriously
Kath and... Where's my phone? Framped and Kath. Yeah. I don't remember which one's which. Basically, they're both shitheads. Both are kind of indirectly... both are, like, indirectly or directly lying to you about, like, what you can do. Ultimately, so there's two endings to the first Dark Souls game. And ultimately, in the lore of the world, neither of them really matter. It's kind of this. That's kind of part of the point. Like, it's an endless cycle. It's very bleak, and Dark Souls in general is very bleak. But yeah, both these serpents are assholes. I gotta say, Death Battle has come a long way since the last time I've checked in. None of this animated stuff was part of the show when I was like. Back when I was consistently watching them. This is very new. It looks very cool. I love their designs.
In the beginning, the world was unformed and static. Then suddenly, the first flame burst to life, and with it, the concepts of heat and cold, life and death, energy and time, light and dark.
sounds like a mythological Big Bang.
Not really. Actually, not at all. So, like, the real-life Big Bang was the start of space and time, which are the same thing. Space, time, life, light, and all those things. All those things existed in the Dark Souls universe pre-First Flame. Because before the era of the gods or the era of the flame, there was the era of the dragons. So life existed. Space existed. Time would have had to exist. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe powers over time existed post that, but things existed. In fact, even like the gods and humanity in a form existed before then, because one thing that the lore always like kind of really discussed was that like the first flame was something that they found. It wasn't that like they were born from or they were created by or whatever. They found the first flame. So they existed pre the flame, you would think, right? That's kind of like what's being conveyed, right? Like, no, it wasn't like the start of everything. Things existed before the first flame in that world, just not too much. Like, it's kind of described as being like this very gray reality where dragons lived in these like giant tree pillars that held up the world, essentially. Yeah, and but that was it. So not much going on before the first flame, but there was things before the first flame.
Turns out humans were naturally undying, or according to the gods' propaganda, undead.
Gasp! It's all a conspiracy. The undead curse.
Okay, someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but from what I understand, that was, like, last I checked in Dark Souls lore, which is a while. I mean, Elden Ring has totally replaced that part of my brain since it came out, so it's been a while. Last I checked, that was just, like, a really popular fan theory, which, like I said earlier, is most of Dark Souls lore at this point, as we understand it. And I get why it's popular. It fits a lot of the stuff that we know that has actually been confirmed, which again isn't much, but it doesn't actually fit every aspect of the lore as far as I understand it. Like, it does not explain why we respawn at bonfires. It doesn't explain why, like, humanity is tied to fire. Like, if we are naturally the way we are, why is it only through the bonfire that we come back after dying? Like, that doesn't It doesn't really fit. And like before, people are like, it's just a gameplay mechanic. Remember that respawning in all of the SoulsBorne games that FromSoft has produced, respawning is part of the story. Respawning is part of the lore, which is something that I always thought was really cool. So that has significance. That's supposed to be part of the plot. But Death Battle seems to like be iterating that like that's actual factual part of the lore. If that was confirmed in any way, I would love to know how, where, like if a developer said yes, that's what it is. Because if that's the case, then that's great. Because it's a great theory. As far as I understood it, like it'd be a really cool plot twist that would totally fit the world. I guess I missed that if that is actual canon now, or if it always was. maybe I missed it from like a long time ago. I don't know.
If an undead champion believes their immortality is a curse, they'll do anything to prevent it, including burning fragments of the dark soul to keep the age of the gods going.
But it was a curse, because hollowing out was horrid. Let's say being undead is actually part of being human in that world. Hollowing is horrible. That's a big theme in a lot of FromSoft games, Elden Ring included. Dying is necessary, because the alternative is like something torturous, to not have that end, that restful end. You just kind of continue to rot and fade away until you're nothing. Essentially, you're just a walking husk, which is what hollowing out is in this game. Let's say it is naturally part of what you are. That's still a horrible fate.
Defeated Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder, long hollowed from linking the flame 1,000 years
Gwyn.
ago. So, which
I hear that
choose?
piano in my
Flame
head
the
now.
fire and it was about the struggle to get there. That's ultimately what gives us meaning.
The constant struggle, yeah, that's a big theme in that.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by Brandon.
That's right, Boomstick. Dive into the thrilling world of versus music.
We're gonna skip this, but yeah, if you want to support Death Battle, do this thing. Do it. We are reacting to it, so yeah. All right, so now we're at the Dragonborn part. Now I am not as familiar with the general world of the Elder Scrolls as I am with Dark Souls. However, when it comes to Skyrim itself, I do know more than the average person, I think, because I am a huge, being part Norwegian myself, I've studied a ton of stuff when it comes to Norse culture and stuff like that, in reality, in mythology, and fictionally. I'm really passionate about the stuff. Now, not in a scholarly level, especially when it comes to the real world studies. But definitely more than the average American, I guess, which doesn't say much. But yeah, I know more about Skyrim itself than the Elder Scrolls lore as a whole, because there's a fucking ton of it. Say what you will about Bethesda, especially nowadays. The Elder Scrolls lore and world is amazing, honestly. There's a ton of it. It's all connected. It's done really well in any sort of media. I'm fascinated by fictional worlds. So I have to study them in any media, whether it's video games, obviously, or books like The Lord of the Rings. I've looked at a lot into how Tolkien made the world and wrote it and yada yada yada. And so I love that stuff. So I'm somewhat familiar with Elder Scrolls, but I'm mostly familiar when it comes to the lore of Skyrim itself.
Hey, what's that in the sky? Why, it's Macho Man Randy Thomas
The mods!
But not this is Alduin, the world eater,
Ugh.
and he's come to burn everything to a cinder.
But fortunately for you,
When you look at the lore of Alduin, he's insane. Like, he eats existence. Like, that's the point of him. He eats reality. So the fact that you walk in and beat his ass, it's kind of insane. Which is why I'm saying that the Dragonborn is unreal. Like, I think he's got this. They got this. My apologies. I keep doing that.
in their tongue, you are the Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
Yeah. So the full title of the player character in Skyrim in the lore is the last Dragonborn. Because there's actually quite a few Dragonborn in the overall story of the Elder Scrolls. You actually meet one or two in Oblivion, the game before Skyrim, which I never played. But you meet a few of them. There's quite a few of them. In fact, the royal line of the Empire in that world, they're meant to all be Dragonborn, and they were up until Oblivion. So yeah, you being a Dragonborn is not special. It's the fact that you're the last one is the insane part, and the fact that you're meant to take on Alduin. That's what makes you really special in that game, in that world.
They learned to be a master assassin with the Dark Brotherhood, a master sorcerer with the College of Winterhold, a master thief with the Nightingale, a master dragon hunter with the Blades, and a master good boy. Who's a good boy? That's a good boy.
They even fought in the...
All of which I spent the good bulk of my time in high school doing. I played the living crap out of this game, almost as much as as Dark Souls. But I mean, look, they've re-released this game like 10 times. Most gamers out there have played the living shit out of Skyrim.
Basically, crazy powerful gods from
May
the
runes.
existence called Oblivion, from that Wesley Wabbit.
I never played Oblivion. I don't know if I should. I know there's a lot of Oblivion fans, so I'm about to disappoint it. I have Oblivion in my computer. I tried to play it. Oh my god, that game aged like fucking milk. I did see that there's a group of people trying to remake Oblivion in Skyrim, and that I would sure as hell play. I would do everything I could to play that. I don't know if my PC as it is right now could run it, but if it ever comes out, I'd be down to play that sucker. That sounds awesome.
From Meridia, they were...
Oh, the Dawnbreaker, my favorite weapon in the game easily. I love the Dawnbreaker.
That's similar to Oriel's bow, which can shoot fiery arrows that can blot out the sun. To cover the distance between the Earth and the sun in about 2 seconds, the arrow would have to be moving at over 250 times the speed of light.
Whoa.
This isn't Earth.
Okay, I don't think it's literally traveling from the planet to the sun. And if I recall, this is kind of the part of the lore that I'm not too familiar with. I don't think the sun in Elder Scrolls is the same as the sun in reality. I'm pretty sure it's a portal to another dimension. So I don't think it would be as far, and I'm pretty sure that shooting the arrow into the sun is more of like a spell anyway. I don't think it's actually hitting the sun. That would be fucking absurd.
Than the sun. This is the planet Nirn, and that's Magnus. According to the Elder Scrolls lore master Michael Kirkbride and his in-universe text Cosmology, when you look up at the sun, you're actually looking into a dimension of pure magic. Confused yet?
No, not really.
Born can heal themselves, cast wards and destructive elemental spells, control minds, conjure weapons, and summon lesser Daedra to help them out in a scrap.
Magic builds in Skyrim are so much fun. They're such a chore sometimes though, because there's so many different fields that you have to level up, and like, you know, if you want to do as much as possible, which I always do if I'm going to go spellcaster, it takes a long time for you to get to the point where you feel like you can use it all. But you could also just focus on like big explosions and go destruction and like just fireball everything away. But yeah, it gets kind of insane. That arsenal is absolutely batshit, and then like with mods, forget it. It's nuts.
Which removes the soul from your enemy's body and stores it in a cute gem, like so.
Yeah, that wouldn't do anything to Chosen Undead though.
Wait, why didn't anything? Oh.
Student loans, man. Something has to cover the down payment.
I'm in the middle of getting those student loans. I can yeah, I can definitely verify that it may very well cost my soul to finish college. Oh my god.
They can carry up to 150 cheeses at once by stream.
Assuming these not too crazy when shouts can get strong enough to shake the world itself.
It wasn't long.
So, and the thing about the shouts, that's kind of insane. If you look at, if they're counting how strong these two characters are meant to be in lore, the Dragonborn really gets insane, because that cooldown between shouts is not canon. That is all gameplay, which means the Dragonborn could very well fucking like mumble rap the end of reality if it so wanted. It's insane. Like, it's just, if it just holding a conversation in dragon speech could destroy everything around it, like, with ease. It's kind of insane, which is why I don't think the Chosen Undead has a chance.
You knew it could only be the Dovahkiin. Dovahkiin.
The son of Skyrim.
Did you know that can blow up a galaxy?
What? combatants are set.
Let's go. I want to see how they animate this. Be really cool. I'm assuming it's gonna be 3D models because I don't. Yeah. Oh.
And stop this fool who would let the flame burn the age of humans to ashes.
Oh, so the Dragonborn is fighting for on like the Lord of Darkness side for dark. It's so weird seeing the Dragonborn in the last kiln. That just does not look right, but I mean it's cool. Him fighting for the darkness kind of makes sense. Most because let's be like Chosen in terms of the Chosen Undead, like just playing Dark Souls 1, most players in their first playthrough wouldn't even know that the alternate ending, the alternate Lord of Darkness ending would exist. The other snake that explains that ending is kind of hidden. He's kind of out of the way. You have to do a lot of shit first to get to that to even have a conversation with that snake. Or that primordial serpent. This is cool. Music is awesome already. The parry. The roll. Oh, Smoke's hammer. Yeah, I don't really think that's going to do anything to him. Yeah, he's fine. The bow. Let me get... Of course it hit him in the knee. It's funny because that's actually like a lot of people that have heard that meme and have said that meme don't actually know that like what the guards in Skyrim are saying when they say until I took an arrow to the knee. They're saying they got married. It's a phrase. It's a phrase from I believe like Scandinavian or Norse. It's an old phrase that they use for getting married. They weren't actually all shot in the knee. They got married, and so they couldn't be an adventurer anymore. That's what they're saying. That's where the meme came from. Oh, that's cool. Music is so cool. Oh, yeah, that's not gonna do shit. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Like I said earlier, like respawning is part of the lore in Dark Souls. So I guess it could be totally possible that the Chosen Undead just wears the Dragonborn down because respawning is not part of the lore in Skyrim. Like you die. Like you go back to a save state. It's not like the world continues. That could be it. That could absolutely be it. Oblivion, let's go. I mean, Chosen Undead's gonna kill him. He's killed. Chosen Undead's killed a lot of dragons. Oh. That also makes sense. Ooh. Yeah, Dragon Slayer Great Bow. That's kind of what it's there for. Oh, that's cool. Faith magic. Oh, Moonslayer. Favorite weapon in the series. My favorite weapon in that game, too. Oh my god, this is cool. These are my two favorite weapons in their respective games. Wait, are they going to say that Dawnbreaker would affect the undead of Dark Souls the same way that it affects Draugr? I don't think so, because the undead in Dark Souls is kind of like the default human state. Like all humans have the potential to become undead. Well, actually, that's not true. Is it? It's kind of vague. I don't know. That's hard to say. I don't think so. That'd be really underwhelming if that's what decides it. Ooh, is it?
Prepare to die.
Ooh.
Save this world, chosen warrior. Bring the fire.
Does that mean he... Oh. Yeah, you gotta end it with a food. Yeah, he wins.
Be cast upon the world. Our Lord
But no...
hath returned.
No, but he linked the flame. It means he lost a fight, but he achieved his goal, right? Like he linked the flame. Isn't that what happened? No?
Fascinating. The Dragonborn had
Whatever.
a wider... You'd think the Dragonborn's anti-undead weaponry like Dawnbreaker would be an easy solution, but the undead of Dark Souls aren't really the same as Draugr from Skyrim.
I disagree with that.
Undead are more like those classic reanimated skeletons. But remember the conspiracy. Humans in Dark Souls are naturally immortal.
Yeah, even though I'm still not really sure that that's fully canon, and again, please let me know if that's true. I don't disagree with them to the fact that Dawnbreaker would not really affect the undead of Dark Souls the same way. I think it's integrally different. Like raised undead through magic is a totally separate thing in the Dark Souls world. Like they said, the skeletons. Like that's what the skeletons are in Dark Souls. So if you hit those, like the skeletons with a Dawnbreaker, I think that would have the same effect. But not like a player character undead. I don't think that's the same thing.
Halloween had strength to consume the universe. Not just Nirn, but the Kalpa as well.
You know those planets you see in the sky? According to Cosmology, those are actually separate, infinitely big planes of reality. Alduin was going to...
Really?
Infinity. Multiple...
That's super cool. Like I said, I don't know too much about Elder Scrolls in general. That's really cool. Those are other realities in the fucking sky. That's really sick.
Dead would eventually lose their will to fight and go hollow. It's
Yep.
not traditional, but it is a form of death in
Yes.
Dark Souls.
So, okay, so like I said, it's part of the lore that your character in Dark Souls can respawn. However, what is also canon is rage quitting. It's something that's been talked about quite a bit in the fan base and with the developers and stuff like that. But essentially, if you ever started a Dark Souls run and you ran into a boss that was too hard and you gave up, no judgment, by the way. Those games are hard and not everyone has the patience to really learn that. It's not for everybody. But let's say that happens. And you give up and you never go back to that character. You never retry, whatever. That means canonically your character hollowed out to a husk, which is the closest, like they say, is the closest thing to death in that world, like true death in that universe. It means you hollowed out to like essentially a classical zombie, and everything and all of the sense of identity that your character had is gone. It's very meta, and I personally think that that's really cool. But yeah, I think absolutely if this matchup were to happen, the Dragonborn would just be too much, and the Chosen Undead would eventually lose their will to continue and hollow out. I think that's absolutely a very accurate assessment. Whether or not I fully agree with their take on the Dark Souls lore, I think I would go to the same conclusion as them.
The winner is the Dragonborn.
Yep. And I that's what I was expecting. I was still rooting for the Chosen Undead because that is far more my game than Skyrim was. But I played a lot of Skyrim too, so honestly, I would have been happy. I'm happy either way. I loved both those games, and still do. But yeah, please watch the video. I will link it in the description because I don't want to take views away from anybody. Like I said, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of React stuff. I think I'll be doing React stuff specifically to stuff that has to do with like SoulsBorne stuff that isn't like full-on lore videos. I think that you should really, if you're interested in the lore of either one of these universes, an easy one that I could refer to you to is VaatiVidya for Dark Souls. But if you want like longer form stuff that really describes it, I would suggest Smowtown. Smowtown is another Dark Souls lore channel that produces very long videos on Souls-like content, especially Elden Ring nowadays, because Elden Ring's kind of replaced Dark Souls in terms of the focus of the fan base. But yeah, it's all still there. It's all still there. That's the beauty of YouTube. It's all the stuff from Dark Souls is still very much out there. And then in terms of Elder Scrolls lore, if you're interested in that, my go-to was always Fudge Muppet. Fudge Muppet is a very long-running channel. They talk about Elder Scrolls lore, And when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out in the year 2050, I'll probably go back to that channel and watch some more stuff so I can know what I'm looking at when that game comes out, if it ever does. But yeah, if you're watching this, that means I succeeded in recording and editing and posting without my PC crapping out, which is amazing. And it also means that I'll probably be uploading some more stuff going forward. I have a feeling I'll probably be doing an Elden Ring playthrough coming up soon here, which will be very streamlined and very fast because I played that game a ton. And eventually I will also be doing Dark Souls playthroughs as well and Bloodborne so that I can finally play those DLC. It's taken me way too long to play those games. I've been playing, like I said, I've been playing those games for nearly 15 years, and I've never gotten around to play the DLC of any of them, and that is a tragedy, and a tragedy that I will happily correct. And so, yeah, so that's, if you're interested in that, please subscribe. It will be coming. I'm not a very big YouTuber, and I'm not the most consistent, that's for sure, especially when I run into technical problems like I have been the last few months. But I will do my best to produce that stuff, and hopefully you enjoy it. So, but yeah, if you enjoyed watching, thank you so much for coming by. If you did, I don't know how well this will do, but it doesn't really matter to me. I just love doing this stuff. So, but yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.